They called him a problem before they ever called him a hero. Long before the night he would walk alone into a German-held city and force hundreds of enemy soldiers to disappear, the army had already decided he did not belong. He was written up, punished, sidelined, and nearly thrown out again and again. Officers saw him as reckless. Rules did not stick to him. Orders bent when they got in his way. If you want more content like this, subscribe now and comment below. By the time the war reached its final months, many believed this man would never make it to the end. And yet, on one cold night in April 1945, a single exhausted corporal did something so unreal that even his own commanders first refused to believe it. He stopped an entire German garrison, not with a platoon, not with air support, alone. And the army that tried to kick him out so many times suddenly had no choice but to remember his name forever. That name was Leo Major. Leo Major was born on January 23, 1921, in New Bedford, Massachusetts, but he grew up in Montreal, Canada. His childhood was not gentle. His father was violent, strict, and unpredictable. Leo learned early how to survive by relying on himself. He became tough, stubborn, and resistant to authority. School never worked for him. He quit early and took physical jobs. He was strong, quiet, and intense. When World War II broke out in September 1939, Canada joined the war almost immediately. Leo was 18. By 1940, he was determined to enlist. He wanted to fight. He wanted out of his past. He wanted something that felt real. From the very beginning, the army struggled to control him. He joined the Canadian Army and was assigned to Le Régiment de la Chaudière, an infantry unit that would later land in Normandy. Training reports described him as skilled but difficult. He followed orders when they made sense to him. When they did not, he ignored them. He argued with superiors. He took risks without permission. Several times during training, officers recommended disciplinary action. At least twice, paperwork began that could have ended his military career before it truly started. Each time, the process stalled because his shooting skills and field instincts were too valuable to lose. Leo became a reconnaissance soldier. This role fit him better than regular infantry duty. Recon soldiers worked in small numbers, often alone, moving ahead of main forces to gather information. They needed independence and sharp judgment. Leo had both, even if he lacked patience for rules. By 1944, his unit was preparing for the Allied invasion of Europe. The tension was heavy. Everyone knew Normandy would be brutal. On June 6, 1944, D-Day, Leo Major landed in Normandy shortly after the first assault waves. The beaches were already soaked in blood. German defences were still active. Chaos was everywhere. Leo moved inland with his unit, scanning for enemy positions. Within hours, he encountered a German armoured vehicle, a half-track carrying a radio and secret documents. Acting without orders, Leo attacked. He killed the crew, captured the vehicle, and seized the documents. These papers contained valuable intelligence on German units in the area. He brought them back to his command. It was an impressive action. It was also unauthorized. His officers praised the result, but warned him again about acting alone. Days later, during fighting near Caen, Leo stepped on a landmine. The explosion destroyed his left eye. Shrapnel tore through his face. Blood covered him. Medics rushed him to safety. Doctors told him his combat career was over. With one eye gone, he was no longer fit for frontline service. They prepared to send him home. Leo refused. He argued that he could still shoot. He proved it by firing accurately during tests. Against regulations and medical advice, he returned to his unit with a black eye patch. From that moment, he became even more difficult for command to handle. He believed survival was his responsibility alone. Throughout the summer and fall of 1944, Leo fought across France and Belgium. He performed reconnaissance missions that others hesitated to accept. He slipped behind enemy lines, observed troop movements, and returned with critical information. He captured German soldiers on his own, sometimes bringing back dozens at once. After one mission, he marched 93 German prisoners into Allied lines alone. Instead of praise, he received another reprimand for disobeying orders and exposing himself to unnecessary danger. This was one of several incidents where officers formally recommended punishment or removal from duty. The paperwork piled up. Some later said the army tried to get rid of him close to 8 times. Each time, the front line needed him too badly. By early 1945, the war was nearing its end. Allied forces were pushing into the Netherlands. German resistance remained fierce in some areas, desperate in others. The city of Zwolle, located in the northeastern Netherlands, was still occupied by German troops. Intelligence estimated several hundred German soldiers remained inside. The city was important. Liberating it without destroying it was a priority. Civilian lives and historic buildings were at risk. On April 14, 1945, Leo Major's unit approached Zwolle. The plan was cautious. Reconnaissance was needed before a full assault. Leo volunteered, as he always did. This time, he was not alone at first. He went with his close friend, Corporal Willy Arsenault. The two men moved toward the city after dark. It was late evening. Streets were quiet. The air was tense. As they entered the outskirts, German soldiers spotted them. Gunfire erupted. Willy Arsenault was hit and killed instantly. Leo dragged his friend into cover. He waited. He did not retreat. Something changed inside him. Instead of returning to report, Leo made a decision that no officer had ordered and no manual described. He would take the city alone. Leo began moving deeper into Zwolle. He carried a standard infantry rifle, grenades, and a submachine gun he had taken earlier in the war. He used speed, noise, and confusion as weapons. He fired into German positions, then moved quickly to another location. He threw grenades at command posts. He shot sentries. He captured German soldiers, disarmed them, and forced them to run toward Allied lines, telling them the city was surrounded by a massive force. He did this again and again. Throughout the night of April 14th into the early hours of April 15th, 1945, German troops believed they were under attack by a full battalion. Leo shouted orders in French and broken German. He fired from different streets, different angles. He avoided staying in one place too long. German officers tried to organize a defense, but could not determine the size of the attacking force. Panic spread. Communications failed. Units began withdrawing without orders. By dawn, the city was quiet. German soldiers were gone. Late accounts suggested that around 700 German troops had fled Zwolle during the night. When Canadian forces entered the city on April 15, 1945, they found it already liberated. No major fighting, minimal damage. Civilians emerged cautiously, then celebrated. When commanders asked who had taken the city, the answer sounded impossible. One man. A corporal with one eye. The same man they had nearly expelled from the army more times than they could count. Leo Major was awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal for his actions at Zwolle. It was one of the highest honours for bravery available to Canadian soldiers. He did not attend the ceremony with pride. He believed he had simply done what was necessary. He later said he did it for his friend Willy. He did it so the city would not be destroyed. After the war in Europe ended in May 1945, Leo returned briefly to Canada. Peace did not suit him. In 1950, when the Korean War began, he volunteered again. Once more, the army hesitated. Once more, he argued his way back into combat. During the Korean War, he led a small unit that captured and held a strategic hill against Chinese forces in November 1951. He did it with the same aggressive independence that had defined his entire career. He received a second Distinguished Conduct Medal. Few soldiers in Canadian history have received it twice. Leo Major died on October the 12th, 2008, in Montreal at the age of 87. For years, his story remained relatively unknown outside military circles and the city of Zwolle, where he is remembered as a liberator. Streets and memorials honour him there. The army that once tried repeatedly to remove him now studies his actions as examples of initiative and courage. The story of Leo Major is not about perfect discipline or flawless obedience. It is about a man who survived war by trusting his instincts when systems failed. He was a reject on paper, a problem in reports, and a nightmare for strict command structures. But when history needed someone to act without hesitation, without backup, and without fear of consequences, Leo Major stepped forward, and in one long night, in one occupied city, he changed everything. If you want more content like this, subscribe now and comment below.